and good to have you.
Thank you, and good evening, viewers.
Thank you so much. That is the Clerk to Parliament, ADOLF MWESIGYE. He's not alone. He is accompanied by the man himself. He's always here on our different programming, of course, here at UBC, and he is the Director, Communications and Public Affairs, Mr. Chris OBORE. Good to have you on the front bench.
Thank you for hosting me and my Clerk to Parliament.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be understanding the mandate of the Clerk to Parliament. We must understand what is his role, what is he entitled to, what are the do's and don'ts, what is he supposed to do so as not to cross borders when it comes to service delivery. You can be part of this conversation using that hashtag, UBC Frontbench. I am Jethro Kasaiji. Let's get started.
Oh, Uganda, may God uphold thee. We lay our future in thy hand. United, free for liberty, together we'll always stand. Oh, Uganda, the land of freedom, our love and labor we give, and with neighbors all at our country's call, in peace and friendship we'll live. Oh, Uganda, the land that feeds us, thy son and fats our soul grow. For our own dear land, we'll always stand. Kapalapa, Africa's crown.
Fellow countrymen and women, these are our ministers and permanent secretaries at the front bench, representing the various ministries and answering the questions that matter to us. Join the conversation. This is the front bench.
This is the front bench, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we are going to be putting our focus on enhancing parliamentary efficiency through effective legislative administration. And of course, the gentleman leading the team tonight is the de facto Chief Executive Officer of the Parliamentary Service, and this is the Clerk to Parliament, Honorable ADOLF MWESIGYE, together with the Director, Communications and Public Affairs in the Parliament, that is Mr. Chris OBORE. Clerk, you're most welcome. Thank you so much for sparing time. I do understand you have a lot, Honorable, but off your tight and busy schedule, you've sacrificed your time. You're here to educate Ugandans, Honorable. A lot of things are happening in the institution of Parliament, but now it's the time for Ugandans to know what happens in the institution of Parliament. What is your mandate? What is your role? And how do you link all your services to ensure that Ugandans get the best out of the Parliament? Honorable.
Thank you very much. The office of the Clerk to Parliament is a universally known office in all parliaments of the world. It's a question of nomenclature. In some jurisdictions, the Clerk to Parliament is called Secretary General. In our jurisdiction, which is the Commonwealth jurisdiction, the Clerk to Parliament is called the Clerk to Parliament. In most jurisdictions which are Francophone, the Clerk to Parliament is referred as the Secretary General, but all parliaments have the office of the Clerk to Parliament. And all parliaments have the office of the Speaker. And again, for the speaker, it's a question of nomenclature. In some parliaments, the speaker is referred to as a presiding officer or the president of parliament. But in our case, we have a speaker of parliament and we have a clerk of parliament. The clerk of parliament in Uganda is a constitutional office. It is provided for in Article 87 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. And the clerk of parliament is appointed by the president, acting on the advice of the Public Service Commission. Although the clerk of parliament is appointed by the president, but he is responsible to and answerable to the Speaker of Parliament in his routine activities and daily work. So the president appoints, but the Speaker supervises the clerk of Parliament. And on the other hand, although the Speaker supervises the clerk, but the clerk also has about 5 core functions, and one of them is to advise the Speaker, on the other hand, on matters of procedure, to advise the members of Parliament on matters of procedure, on the decorum of parliamentary practice, to advise committees of Parliament. We have about 31 committees of Parliament in our National Assembly, and the clerk is the clerk of each of those committees. But for practical purposes, the clerk assigns clerk assistants who run those committees on his or her behalf. But the clerk also has immediate senior staff. He's helped by deputy clerks. In my case, I have 3 deputy clerks who assist me in my work. Deputy clerk, parliamentary affairs, in charge of legislation. Deputy clerk in charge of corporate affairs, in charge of administration and finance. And the general counsel, who advises the entire parliament on legal procedure. But I also have directors like my brother Chris OBORE. He's the director for communications of Parliament of Uganda. He's in charge of all media issues and protocol in the House of Parliament, and other directors in different directorates. The second cardinal role of the clerk is that he's the head of the parliamentary service. I have already explained the staff, the directors under the supervision of the clerk. There are many services in the public service. The public service is very big, headed by the head of public service. But there are many services in public service. There is military service, there is judicial service, there is diplomatic service, there is health service, there is education service. But the service of parliament is called parliamentary service. And the head of that service is the clerk of parliament. He's responsible for supervision of staff to make sure they perform their roles as the law requires them to do. He's also the secretary, he or she is the secretary of the Parliamentary Commission. The Parliamentary Commission is the governing body of the entire parliament. It's also established by Constitution and operationalized by the Administration of Parliament Act. The Parliamentary Commission is chaired by the Speaker and comprised of the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance, and lead of government business, the lead of opposition, and 3 backbench commissioners who are elected by members of parliament. So that is what constitutes the Parliamentary Commission, and the clerk is the secretary of that commission. Now the commission has a dual role. It's not a commission like other commissions you know. Unlike the Public Service Commission or Education Service Commission, which is strictly a service commission, the Parliamentary Commission is also a policy-making body of Parliament. It is the commission that determines the terms of service, terms and conditions of service of members of Parliament in the first place. It is also the commission which determines the terms and conditions of the staff. But on the other hand, it is also a service commission because it is responsible for appointment and discipline of members of staff of Parliament, especially those below the clerk, because the clerk, as I said, is appointed by the president. Thirdly, the clerk is the accounting officer of the Parliamentary Commission, in charge of the expenditure of public funds voted for the Parliamentary Commission, but also is the custodian of the assets of Parliament, both immovable and movable assets. And the clerk is also the secretary of the Parliamentary Pension Scheme, because members of Parliament and staff, we have a contributory pension scheme which is meant to cater for the retirement benefits of our members when they retire, members of Parliament and staff. And the lawmakers found it fit that the clerk should oversee and follow the manner in which the Parliamentary Pension Scheme is managed. So to that extent, I am the secretary of that parliamentary scheme. And as I said, in the performance of my duties, I'm supervised by the Speaker and by extension the Deputy Speaker. And on the other hand, I also supervise the staff. So that is the role of the Clerk of Parliament.
Honorable, you have clearly stipulated your roles, your mandate. You talked about how you advise and other officials when it comes to matters of procedure. Now, this is where Ugandans have to understand clearly, because you're also secretary to some of the commissions that you have stated. How does all this, how do you incorporate that service delivery when it comes to the wananchi, ensuring that they benefit what must come out of Parliament? Of course, before we go to the relevance of Parliament, Honorable.
Well, the Parliament, development of the country in general, because the clerk works in the context of Parliament. The clerk does not work outside the context of Parliament. So his advice and his role is related to the role of Parliament in service delivery and development of the country. And that takes me to the role of Parliament, which is defined in Article 79 of the Constitution. Namely, it says that Parliament shall have the power to make laws. There is no other institution which has the power to do anything which has the force of law except Parliament. And of course the President, because when laws are made by Parliament, they don't have the force of law until the President assents to them. But Parliament's role is to make laws for the peace, order, development, and good governance in Uganda. That is the summary of the role of Parliament for in the Constitution. The first core role of Parliament is legislation. You have just referred to it as the legislature, the power to make laws. And these laws are made through bills, introduced in most cases by the executive branch of government, and in some cases, even private members of Parliament also introduce bills where they find there is a gap, and they are allowed by Constitution to produce private members' bills. So when these bills are introduced, they are examined by Parliament.
Maybe, sir, maybe to help your audience. Yes, please. The term bills confuses many of the wananchi. The bill is simply a proposal. Isn't it a proposed law?
Yes,
proposal.
It's a proposal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Chris,
Yes.
for making it simpler and more understandable.
Yeah.
The bill is a proposal of what the law will be. So when this bill is a proposal, is introduced, 80% of the proposals which come to Parliament to be translated into law are from government. And that is provided for by the rules of procedure. So we give priority to government bills for good reasons. Because the executive, headed by the President, has the machinery of the public service to examine, do research, study, build concepts, and plan, and introduce a bill that has undergone a thorough examination and study. So that is why the rules provide for priority to be given for government proposals or bills which come to Parliament. But also, we don't close out the private members also to bring proposals of legislations that that they feel are important.
Honorable, I'm going to get back to you because I do understand you still have a lot we have to digest on that very matter. Director, let me bring you in here, Honorable Chris. You're the mouthpiece of the institution of Parliament. Let's talk about the information that is perceived by the wananchi outside. You are inside the room, in the rooms where all these things happen, but there is a picture that is usually at times painted to the wananchi outside. You have the powers within your office. How best can Ugandans receive the right information that is usually brought out by the Parliament?
Okay, maybe to correct, you know, the spokesperson of Parliament
Please.
is the Speaker of Parliament.
Okay.
But because of her busy schedule, she assigns that role to the clerk to Parliament.
Okay.
The clerk to Parliament is assisted by various technical experts. So the clerk to Parliament assigns me to speak for Parliament on his behalf. So if we are talking about spokesperson of Parliament, you actually have the actual spokesperson of Parliament.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So when he's around, when he says the accounting officer, he's accountable for whatever
everything.
happens in Parliament, including what OBORE speaks. So when I speak and I don't
account
speak
for what
well, he
you're
has
going
to
to
account.
Sure.
Yes, including what I speak.
Sure.
So but in supporting him, I'm his supporting cast.
Please.
We have a lot of ways to pass the information to the public on his behalf. If you notice, we have the most vibrant website in Uganda, in government website, indisputably. Even in the region, our website is the most informative, detailed. You literally get everything you want. From the contact of a member of Parliament if you want. If you want an email of a member of Parliament, you find it. This is how I earn a living. And that is why he has confidence in me in performing his work. So if you want to say which MP do you want, you just go to the Parliament website. There's a lot of bills passed, they are there. The Hansard records are there. So researchers use it. Unfortunately, sometimes you, the media, don't. You keep calling me. I want a member of Parliament for Zimbabwe. Yet you could actually go to your website. So we have many ways to reach out. And there are so many things the clerk does. We do outreaches. We receive schools to come and learn more about Parliament. It is a lot that we do there. And we have publications. From what the clerk is explaining, we have all those publications. So the public is free to know anything about Parliament. And even the office of the clerk to Parliament, you see, is open. People come asking whatever they want. We have a fully functioning library. If you want to know the history of Uganda, it's in our library.
Actually, Director, there are those who do not know that they have a right, probably.
No, we do have. Our library is now developing even a museum. This is how far we have gone. But, you know, we need the public to know that the clerk to Parliament is running a people-centered Parliament. People are the center of whatever the clerk to Parliament is doing. And the role you assigned me is to coordinate that relationship. We have all of this. I want you to encourage your listeners that if you want any information in Parliament, start with the website before you even look for the clerk to Parliament. Once a bill has been signed, we upload it. You don't need to look for the clerk. But if you want to come to the office of the clerk, we'll still serve you. So there are many ways we do it.
Because, Director, there is that issue of authority, where Ugandans want to see the clerk talking about something by himself, where people want to see the Director, Communications, Chris OBORE, talking about something. That is when they will realize that, okay, now that is from the Parliament.
The small drum has been drumming. Now you have the big drum.
Clerk, before we go for that break, you're talking about the relevance of Parliament to the development of the country.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I had just mentioned one relevance of Parliament, which is legislation. But legislation is also linked to the core function of Parliament as provided for in the Constitution, which is for the peace, order, development, and good governance of the country. Those, you should underline those catchwords: peace, order, development, and good governance of the country. So the yardstick of judging our parliament, whether it has been efficient or not, are those core values which a parliament, the laws which a parliament should pass. Are they there to facilitate peace and order? And I would like to mention the law which we have just passed in Parliament, the UPDF Amendment Act, which was passed by Parliament and assented to by the President. I will not go into the merits now because of time, but that law is for the good, for the peace of the country, is for the order of the country. Because without discipline in the army and without discipline of civilians interfering with military equipment, you cannot have order in the country. So we deliberately passed these laws, which are proposed by the executive in some cases, deliberately to maintain peace, order, development, and good governance of the country. We do not only, Parliament does not only pass the laws, but we also support policies. And this takes me to the other core role of Parliament, which is representation. Members of Parliament come to Parliament to pass laws, yes, but they also come to Parliament to represent the people who elected them. And once a member of Parliament steps in the precincts of Parliament, he becomes a national leader. He has a constituency to represent, but he also has a right, and indeed our members of Parliament have done it. They have a right to discuss and contribute to national issues. For example, in the representative role, they raise constituency issues, but also they go back to the people and sensitize the people on programs of government. We have just had a very, very interesting experience in the country where His Excellency the President has been leading the way in sensitizing the public on the parish development model, which in my view is really, from the start, is a resounding success. But the President has not gone alone to the countryside. The Right Honorable Speaker has been accompanying him. The Deputy Speaker has been accompanying him. The Vice President has been with him. Members of Parliament, especially when he's in the area where they come from, which they represent, join the President in promoting the parish development model, which is, judging from the results now, which we have scored, is going to be a game changer in the socio-economic transformation of Uganda. So members of Parliament, to that extent, play a representative role, and the representative role is two-way. They speak for the people in the House, but they must also take the issues that they pass in the House and in government back to the people. Because the people would want to know what is it that government is planning for them to explain these laws and other development programs. The other role which is very important, apart from, and in terms of representation, our representative architecture in Parliament, you know, as far as I'm concerned, in the Parliament of Uganda, the composition of Parliament of Uganda is really one of the most democratic in the world, because it is one of the few parliaments where you have not only representatives of political parties, but you also have representatives of interest groups. We have 353 directly elected MPs. We have 145 women MPs. And we also have representatives of UPDF, 10 of them, representatives of PWD, 5 of them, people who represent workers, 5 of them, the youth, 5 of them, elder persons, 5 of them. So all corners, all sections of the social strata of Uganda are represented in the National Assembly. So it's a National Assembly that reflects the national character of Uganda. And in terms of political parties, we had at the beginning of this parliament, in 2021, the NRM had 336 members, 336 members, but they have now gained 4 more. Now we have 340 NRM members of Parliament, representing about 65% of the Parliament, because some members of Parliament have crossed. Their parties, NUP had 57, now they have 50 because 7 have crossed to other parties. DP has 9, None has crossed and none has joined. UPC has 11, JEMA has 1, People's Progressive Party has 1, Independents were 73, representing 14.1% of the membership of parliament. So the representation of parliament in terms of parties and interest groups is very, very diverse and representative.
Honorable, kindly allow me take a very short commercial break, and when we do return, we continue diving into the relevance of parliament to the development of the country. The front bench continues. Don't go away.
This is the front bench.
From the day your child is born, you want to protect them. You want to protect them from the harm you know and the things your eyes can see. Protect them from falls when they are playing and as they are learning the world. But what protects them from the things your eyes can't see? Diseases attacking their bodies. Immunization from as early as birth, 6 weeks, 10, 14 weeks to 9 and 18 months. And malaria starting at 6, 7, 8 to 18 months protects children from diseases, giving them the foundation they need to grow stronger and healthier.
Parents and caregivers, remember to immunize your children 9 times from birth to 18 months to protect them against vaccine-preventable diseases such as measles, rubella, polio, pneumonia, hepatitis B, tuberculosis, tetanus, meningitis, yellow fever, diarrhea, whooping cough, diphtheria, and malaria. All vaccines used for immunization are safe, effective, and free. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF, WHO, and partners.
When you want to relax your body and refresh your mind, welcome to Hotel La Confidential, Aroa's premier destination for luxury and comfort. The only hotel in Aroa City offering a serene atmosphere, breathtaking scenery. Come and discover our exclusive wellness club with packages that include a fully equipped gym, a rejuvenating sauna, steam bath, and a great sky blue swimming pool. For events, our state-of-art conference halls and versatile event spaces are perfect for hosting shows, wedding receptions, birthdays, and more. Come and enjoy our cinema hall and unisex saloon, all designed to meet your entertainment and grooming needs. Bring your family and let your kids splash around in our beautiful kids water park. We are located on Aroa Pakwachi Highway in the heart of Aroa City. Don't wait. Visit us on www.hotelconfidential.com or call us on 0761 688 181.
Fellow countrymen and women, these are our ministers and permanent secretaries at the front bench, representing the various ministries and answering the questions that matter to us. Join the conversation. This is the front bench.
This is the front bench, ladies and gentlemen. We are still looking at our topic of enhancing parliamentary efficiency through effective legislative administration. And with me, I still do have the clerk to parliament, ADOLF MWESIGYE, together with the director of communication, and of course in charge of public affairs in parliament, that is Chris OBORE. Honorable, before we went for that break, you're still educating Ugandans on the relevance of parliament. You still have the floor, Honorable.
Thank you very much. I had covered the first 2 core roles of parliament, yes, namely to legislate and also to represent the people. And in representing the people, they pass laws, but also support government programs, like I mentioned in the case of PDM, but they also approve loans which are brought to parliament by the executive. And these loans, again, are linked to the good governance and development of the country. Because fortunately, our government has been introducing loans to parliament which are only to work on infrastructure, the infrastructure of the country. And these loans are paid by government, and parliament supports the executive in passing those loans. The other important relevance of parliament is under the law, they also play an oversight role over the executive, and to some extent the judiciary as well. They don't interfere with the independence of the judiciary, but the judiciary, like all other arms of the state, is also answerable to Parliament for the expenditure of public funds and for the performance of their functions. To the extent that it is Parliament which appropriates public funds for use by government departments, Parliament follows the use of those government departments, the use of those funds by government departments to ensure value for money. And that is where you have committees of Parliament who do oversight work on behalf of Parliament. Parliament works through committees. Before 1996, we never used to have parliamentary committees, but we found that it was an inefficient way of managing Parliament, because these laws which I have talked about, supervision of government programs, Parliament delegates them to committees. And committees, because committees are, as I said, there are 31 committees. We have both sectoral committees which supervise sectors, and we also have what we call standing committees which handle long-term policy matters. And the sectoral committees are 16. The sectoral committees are aligned to government sectors. If, for example, a bill is emanating from the Ministry of Health, it will be examined by the Committee on Health, and the Committee on Health will report to the plenary of the House before passing that bill. If there is a hospital which has been built using public funds which were voted by Parliament through the Appropriation Act, it is the Committee of Health which is enjoined by the rules of procedure to go on the ground. They go to the field and check if those projects have been put in place in accordance with the plan of the ministry, and if there is value for money. So all committees, whether they are accountability committees or standing committees, are in a sense oversight committees. So sectoral committees, as I said, are aligned to ministries. They include the Committee on Health, Committee on Education, Committee on Foreign Affairs. For example, our Committee on Foreign Affairs not only examined the policies of the Committee of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but they also go to missions, Ugandan missions abroad, and do oversight work to find out if these missions are operating well, to help them operate better, and sometimes to point out areas of improvement, if at all they are there. So, through committees, Parliament therefore does oversight work, and also the other core function is appropriation, which I have already mentioned, and that is the examination of the budget. The budget cycle begins in the month of September and ends in the month of May, beginning with the budget framework paper, which is presented by the executive to Parliament, and Parliament examines the budget. Then policy statements are introduced in Parliament. They are also examined by the committees of Parliament. The committees of Parliament make reports which end up in the Budget Committee of Parliament, which is a conglomeration of all sectoral committees of Parliament. It consolidates the entire budget together. Ministers are invited, and their permanent secretaries to come and explain policy issues, and sometimes even budget issues, budget plans for the technical people. They explain, and in most cases there is consensus, and these budgets are presented to the floor of the House, the entire House, and they are passed through what they call the Appropriation Act, which is an act of Parliament. But also we pass tax bills which have the force of law, which the government uses now to collect revenue. Because you can't just start talking about appropriation and spending without talking about revenue. And that one is done through tax bills, which of course are introduced by government and passed by Parliament and assented to by His Excellency the President. As I said, in our case, in our democracy, the legislative work is a shared responsibility between the legislature and the presidency. Because although Parliament can pass a proposal or a bill through the third reading, but that bill will never get the force of law unless the president assents to it. If the president has the fundamental disagreements with the bill which has been sent to him for assent, he can return it to Parliament, and the president has done it before. And Parliament reconsiders the bill, taking into account the concerns of the chief executive, who is the president, and if there is consensus, we return it to him for assent, and the bill becomes an act of parliament. But apart from these statutory roles, there are also unwritten roles of parliament. Like, for example, we do outreach programs. We are not required by law to have outreach program, but parliament goes to the people. Mr. OBORE has just said that we are a people-centered parliament. We can't be people-centered by staying in Kampala, passing laws from January to December, and passing the budget from September to May without reaching the people. There is that aspect of individual members of parliament going to reach their people, but there is also taking the institution of parliament to meet the people. And I would like to applaud our speaker, the Right Honorable Annette Among. She has given us leadership in this direction very effectively. Because for the first time in the history of parliament, we had a sitting of parliament in Ugulu, a regional sitting of parliament in Ugulu in August 2024. And the impact was phenomenal.
Honorable, should we expect a law coming, of course, allowing you to continue with these outreach programs and also taking this parliament closer to the people?
Oh, yes, we shall continue. Apart from the regional sittings, but we also have programs where the speaker leads the members of parliament and even staff of parliament, and we interact with local government leaders, especially at regional level. Not in a strict sense of legislation with rules of procedure, but this time free interactions. We get a feedback, a dialogue with local councils. Because our law, the Administration of Parliament Act, enjoins Parliament to mentor and even train local councils. Because local councils, like Parliament, also pass laws. Their laws are called bylaws. But because Parliament is the principal legislature, and the local councils perform a delegated legislative function by enacting bylaws, Parliament found it appropriate that Parliament should mentor local councils. So we reach local councils and talk to them and get a feedback.
Okay, Honorable. Let me get to the Director of Communications. Director, you talked about how best you support the Office of the Clerk to ensure that they perform their role very well to the public. Let's talk about parliamentary service. Let's talk about protocol as well. How best can Ugandans get to this? Because Ugandans outside there have fear. When you talk about parliament, there is a lot of protection, and the protocol that one has to go through to ensure that they receive that service, probably through your office.
Oh, thank you very much, but I was enjoying my
no,
pause and,
true.
I definitely have to tell you, first I want to clarify that all services of parliament are free. Nothing you want from parliament is paid for. If you want a copy of the bill assented to by the president, we give you for free. Yeah. A clerk's office is available to give it to you. If you want to visit the parliament, like schools come, because we're people-centered, it's a learning institution as well. Schools have only to schedule with the office of the clerk. You write, proposing to come. My department is there to handle, to take the students all through. And this is without any charge. But we also get feedback that some schools or some travel agents go to schools and charge parents now that, you know what, take your children to Kampala, want to take them to parliament, and they require this amount of money. Parliament welcomes all schools, all people who want to learn without a charge. Whoever is charging, let the public be educated that is scamming parents. The clerk is here, that there is no money charged. The only thing we require, because it's protocol, the orderliness. Sometimes we don't want to bring babies because of money element. They end up bringing even children in nursery. You find the children coming, they are learning nothing, but they wanted numbers for them to get money from parents. So those ones sometimes we refuse. If we see the children are young, we say no, no, no. Now, those travel agents, when we say we can't allow these children because we want to kill that habit of torturing parents to pay for tours for children who are babies. They go out now and say, they refuse us to go to Parliament. No, we are simply saying, sincerely, if a child is in baby class, child is in P1, and they have traveled all the way from Masaka, that they are coming to a Parliament, you find really that they are worn out. We told the boss that, sir, no. And he said, that is very right. So we don't bring children who are able to grasp, who will have the memories, but not to torture kids. So it is free. The issue of entry to Parliament, I must admit, parliaments world over are guarded, not to stop citizens from coming, but to avoid the wrong elements. People who take advantage of entering Parliament to make political points, because it's a political center. So any other politician or activist will want to make their point in the Parliament, even when the point is actually not a point, and then to attract unnecessary publicity, which is not right. And then that is a place for VIPs. If we allow someone with ill intentions, it will affect the whole integrity of the state security apparatus. So that's why we have security. They don't stop, they guide. When you come, they ask you, where are you going? Whom do you want to see? I want to see the clerk to Parliament. They will call. Honorable clerk, there is a guest here, he wants to see you. If he says, oh yes, Jethro is my visitor, they just tell you, give us your identification, sign here, this is a tag, go and see. Others come without any of that. It raises suspicion. And the other one to say, it's very hard to enter Parliament. No, it is a security measure. We are not only safeguarding ourselves from us, but also external forces.
Yeah, sure.
That may want to undermine the security of a country. So that is why the police, our police actually, are more PR oriented, if you notice.
So ideally, Parliament is a public...
It's a public place. But there are protocols for those reasons. Why would you want to be open? You don't know the threat, the global dynamics. Anyone want to make a point here? So that's why you have those issues. But services of Parliament, take it from us. The clerk is here. They are free. If you want to come to our library to read, just write to the clerk to Parliament. Yeah. I want to come and do research. And the researchers are there. Unfortunately, some people with, let me not say petty or whatever, unclear political intentions, they want to dramatize everything about Parliament. It is the institution of the people. So you just come, you want to see the clerk. If he tells you I'm not available today, book another appointment. He will tell you, you come. But if you just walk, I want to go. No, when you reach the clerk, he's busy. He will simply say, Chris, these are your people. I take over. That is how the Parliament works. So anyone who charges parents, please, parents, don't pay money to visit Parliament. Yeah. You are even free to come with your child during holidays. Sure. Drive your children, say, clerk, I'm coming with my family. I want us to take the... We do it.
Director, how does a Ugandan get to that? You're talking about right to the clerk. Is it through email? Is it through bringing a letter?
Well, I can tell you, sorry, I receive handwritten letters from individual Ugandans, handwritten, that I'm requesting to visit Parliament. And I instantly authorize those visits by referring them to the Director, Public Affairs, who receives them. So individuals can come, but you have to write, there is a procedure. You don't just walk and say, I'm coming to Parliament. No, it is
not night. You can tomorrow say, I want to come and with my wife and my children, we want to go around Parliament. You write to the clerk, oh, we receive you. We prepare a protocol officer. Or we tell you, this day is quite busy. Come on this day. That's what we do. So, but you see, everything is clearly structured in the Parliament.
Thank you, Ghana.
But like the clerk has spoken here, if you permit me, some of the times people will say, the clerk has articulated what the Parliament does. Then somebody says, we don't see service delivery. Jethro, let me tell you, like the Parliament passes the loans. These loans do nothing. Have you ever gone to Entebbe using the expressway?
Yes.
Is that a service?
It is.
Was it there before?
No.
So what do you mean by service? You're using the road, but you're saying, I don't know what this government does. This is why I want people to understand. What we can accept, we can improve on our services. Let's keep improving. Where there are gaps, let's close the gaps. But it's not right to say we don't feel anything this government does. If I may become a phonopondo now for government, and indeed I work for government, there are so many services. After we are all here at UBC, after this we are going to go to our homes, and I'm sure we shall reach home successfully, sleep, prepare for the next day's work. Meaning there is the security for us to do so. Yes. So what service are you asking? You see, we are consuming government services, at the same time saying we don't see government services. Let's demystify the word service delivery. Sure. Because today I was reading the PS Minister of Health, Busole Hospital in Bunyole, sparkling, clean, renovated by the same man as the clerk is talking about. Yeah. What do we mean by service delivery? Appropriated by Parliament. So we consume government services, but we keep saying we don't see government services. Are we in Gaza now? No. Are we in Somalia? Are we in Eritrea? So why don't we say, yes, to this far, our security apparatus are offering us the services. Where there are gaps, how do we help the security? But it's wrong to put there, we don't see anything, because you are in opposition. And yet you don't see anything and you're sleeping in your house. Then you use an example of one person the security has issue with, and you say, because Jethro has been taken to a police station, there's no security in Uganda. Can we have a society without crime? It is when crime is there, the security follows it up. So you don't use the arrest of Jethro to say, in Uganda, we don't sleep. But many people are sleeping and are doing business. Those are the services we are talking about. If we are asking about services government does, there are many, diverse and varied. Do we need improvements? Yes. Even the government knows that we need to improve. Every day my boss here is very good here. In the meeting, he says, Obore, I don't want this negativity here. What are you doing? We are all on our toes to work. But you don't say, these people are not doing anything. That's what I wanted to explain.
Clerk, talking about service delivery, you've served in different arenas, Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs, Minister of Local Government. How did Parliament help you while in office at that time?
Oh, yes.
We do have about 10 minutes, Honorable.
Yeah, Parliament was very helpful in all those portfolios where I served. In the Ministry of Justice, where I worked as the Minister of State for Justice and Deputy Attorney General, the bulk of the proposals or the bills which come to Parliament come from the Ministry of Justice. Most of the bills come from the Ministry of Justice, and the Ministry of Justice conceives the concept. I would take it to Cabinet. Cabinet approves it. First of all, you begin with a concept note, which you give to the President as the head of state, because it's not fair for a Cabinet Minister to ambush the head of state as the President. Then if the head of state clears the concept note, you bring your cabinet paper to Cabinet. When the cabinet paper is passed by Cabinet, you bring it, you translate it into a bill, which we are calling a proposal, and the bill goes to Parliament. So Parliament was very helpful in the passage of most of those laws, including constitutional amendments, which have had a fundamental impact on the political history of Uganda. And coming to the office of the Prime Minister, where we coordinated the government business and monitoring the government business, I worked very closely with the Parliamentary Commission. In fact, the Prime Minister then, the late Professor Apollon Subambi, who was my direct supervisor, his soul rest in peace, delegated me to represent him on the Parliamentary Commission. And I sat on the Parliamentary Commission for 3 years when I was Minister in the office of the Prime Minister, and I participated in the passage of all these laws which you are looking at, including the Administration of Parliament Act. Actually, the Administration of Parliament Act is the act which gave impetus to the judiciary also to think about the Administration of Judiciary Act. Now, the judicial service is one of the best facilitated careers in the country. And as I speak now, many lawyers who used to resent judicial service are now rushing. They are going back to serve in the judiciary, which is good for the rule of law and the stability of the country. And when I worked in local government, most of the programs of local government, decentralization programs, would have to go through Parliament. I have just talked, the PDM is recent, it came when I had left, But PDM is the focal point of implementation of PDM is in local government, because PDM is for the local people, the poorest of the poor, so that they get into the money economy. And those are the programs that Ministry of Local Government would come up with. Local infrastructure, the Local Government Act amendments were all done through Parliament and come to the Ministry of Defense. You know, Uganda has made a big contribution. The UPDF has made a very big contribution to the stability of Uganda and the region. So in some cases, during my tenure as Minister of Defense, I had to come to Parliament on behalf of government, on behalf of the Commander-in-Chief, to request for parliamentary approval to deploy Ugandan troops abroad where they were required. The case of Somalia was approved by Parliament, and Uganda pioneered the deployment of UPDF troops in Somalia, and other countries of Africa also followed. When DRC requested Uganda to deploy to keep peace in Eastern DRC, the government deployed, but we still had to come to Parliament for approval. And based on the reasons that we would give, the members of Parliament were able to appreciate that deploying our troops abroad was in the security interest of Uganda, and they would give clearance. So the experience I had with Parliament was good.
Yes. How have you been facilitated as Parliament? You are the accounting officer to ensure that all what you've talked about is put into practice.
I would like to thank the government, and in particular the President, because the budget of Parliament is a statutory budget. It is a budget that is formulated by the Parliamentary Commission. The Parliamentary Commission directly forwards it to the President under Article 155(4). Directly forwards it to the President. It doesn't go through other channels, but it goes directly to the President, and the President makes his comments on that budget. He can advise. He can advise on whether this budget should be enhanced or whether it should be revised, but he can make comments. He doesn't reduce the budget, but he makes comments, and in most cases, he has really allowed Parliament to be facilitated with the facilities that we need. Members of Parliament were facilitated with vehicles at the beginning of the term of Parliament, vehicles to use to represent their people. Each member of Parliament has an iPad, because we are automated. We don't, paperwork is limited now in Parliament. They use iPads to do their legislative work. We even have virtual attendance of parliamentary sessions, offices, facilities, library that Chris has talked about. Even when committees are going out for oversight activities, there is transport to facilitate members of committees, but also facilitate them in terms of subsistence. So, as far as I'm concerned, Parliament has been, where there are medical issues, members of Parliament are catered for. We have medical insurance for our members and staff. And as I said, there is a pension scheme for retired members of Parliament and staff. So to that extent, we thank the government for the harmony and conducive environment that they have afforded Parliament to do its work.
Okay.
But I had one final...
No, I'm coming back to you, Clerk, for your last remarks. Director, as we wrap up, you are on social media, you follow everything that is being talked about when it comes to the institution of Parliament. Your last remarks, what Ugandans should know, what is their takeaway as far as work is concerned within Parliament?
I think now my boss, he prefers calling me his young brother, but he is still my boss. Yeah. As explained really, and has made my work simple. I hope he doesn't go and say, what is the relevance of this department now?
Sure.
See, you can see, people have been saying the MPs determine their own money the way they want. And I kept saying, there is no way Parliament would just say, we want this, and they get on their terms. The budget is looked at by the President, and that is by law. Yeah. So whatever we get is in consultation with the head of state.
That's true.
It's not how some people run around and say those MPs increase the allowances as and when they want.
No.
No. It's not that the budget of parliament does not go through like a ministry's budget. Because this is an arm of government. That's the difference.
So whatever happens in parliament, the head of state is aware.
Is the head is
Full aware.
full aware?
action.
Yes.
Full aware. Every item.
Every
He
item.
must look at it and he's
So
out.
there is no way the clerk, and once the head of state has proved the money,
Yeah.
the only person whose signature pays out the money is here. Not the speaker.
So the money has come.
The only signature which gives you money from parliament is here. I hope you're getting me. So it is not as you feel, as you think. Now, when we talk about they seem to buying cars, the time you lampoon the speaker and the deputy speaker, they are both Benzes. The owner of these Benzes is here.
And he has to account for them.
They are his vehicles.
They have answers.
They are his vehicles. He only gives Anita Mong,
allocate.
please use this one.
Yes.
TT, Thomas Taeba, use this one. Once you are not,
OBORE,
use this one.
This is your small one.
Use that one. After that, he's in his custody.
Yes.
Then you go and say, Anita Mong has bought this, Taeba has bought this.
No.
It is lack of understanding.
That's true.
That's not right. Then the other thing is, what were you talking about? It is about the property of parliament. The custodian is here. Any car you see of parliament, if it is misbehaving, it is him. Whether mine or the speakers. That is the law. Those cars, in other words, it is the people of facilitating their leaders to perform a responsibility. Not that the leaders own them.
No.
The other time we even gave former speakers.
Yes.
As they use them. If they are not there, he gets back the cars.
Yeah.
So why do we make it so dramatic? It is those leaders who want them. No.
Thank you, Director.
Otherwise,
Yes.
everything has been explained by the clerk to parliament, and I am glad that he asked me to carry his bag around here and we discuss the things.
All right.
Yes.
Clerk, you have said a number of things that really happen within your office.
Yeah.
But I do understand because of time, we are not in a position to finish everything that we had on the plate. But in 1-2 minutes, Honorable, summarize, take
Yes.
away for Ugandans.
Thank you very much. Before I take leave of this show, we are entering the electoral season, which is very, very critical. And I have just explained what the roles of a member of parliament are: legislation, representation, appropriation, and oversight. I have elaborately explained the roles of a member of parliament as prescribed by law and even practice. But sometimes members of parliament, either through sometimes, and I was one of them for 25 years, sometimes partly due to our own making, but also the pressure of the population, they have been diverted from these roles, and now the yardstick of judging a member of parliament are not the contributions he has made on the floor in terms of passing a bill, but the number of burials he has attended in the constituency. The yardstick of judging a member of parliament is not the programs of government which he has lobbied to come to the constituency, but the number of weddings which he has organized. I would like our people to shift focus from non-issues and really judge our members of parliament from the point of view of the core roles of members of parliament. Otherwise, short of that, we are not going to get effective leaders to come to parliament and represent the people, because then they will be bogged down. It's not the number of boreholes that the member of parliament has sunk in the constituency, because the budget for boreholes is for government. There is a minister for water. Their local governments have budgets for provision of water. It is not the number of bulbs of electricity that the member of parliament will bring to the constituency. There is a minister of energy with a budget to do that. The number of roads that the member of parliament will gravel. Sometimes you see members of parliament hiring graders. I have seen a lot of ambulances running around to take patients to the hospital. Please, let us use government funds.
Okay.
Provide for enough ambulances by government to carry sick people to the hospital. This is not a role of member of parliament. Otherwise, our members of parliament will get overstretched and they will lose the focus
All right.
of what a member of parliament should do. That is my humble appeal to the members of parliament themselves, but also to the population.
Thank you so much, Clerk to Parliament, for really sparing time. Thank you so much, Director Communications, Chris OBORE, Clerk to Parliament, ADOLF MWESIGYE. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've really been following this show, you will realize that the office of the Clerk to Parliament plays a pivotal role to ensure whatever comes out of Parliament is really beneficial to all the wananchi, that is the Ugandans. So it is very important. They do have a bulk, yes, we do have to appreciate. However, they have committed that they are ready to change where necessary. The director talked about service delivery. Yes, Ugandan service, but slight improvement needs to be done in one way or another. Off camera, I did talk to Clerk to Parliament together with the director. They did agree that after this show, they will simply look into their schedule and see how best can they really give us much of their time to ensure that they get back here to educate Ugandans about what happens in the institution of Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching The Front Bench. I am Jethro Kasaiji. From me and the entire team, it's a good night. Thank you.
Oh, Uganda, may God uphold thee. We lay our future in thy hand. United, free.